Hello, welcome to Scrap Time. My name's Christine, and in this video I'm going to be showing you the new Distress color, Speckled Egg. This color came out in May, but I finally got mine in the mail. So I got the Distress Ink, Distress Oxide Ink, Distress Spray, Distress Oxide Spray, and the Embossing Glaze, and it also comes in paint, I think. There's going to be crayons. He's going to be releasing a total of 12 new colors over the next while. There's no timeline for it. And once every 4 colors, I think, are released, then there'll be crayons, but there's no crayons yet. I could be wrong. It could be 6 colors. I'm not exactly sure. But there will be crayons, but not yet. So I'm going to just show you. I made a tag using all these products in one tag and just layering them. So I'm just going to quickly show you how to make this tag and layer the products. So I started with some Distress Spray stain, and I'm using one of the Holtz tags to do this. And so I just sprayed some on my craft sheet and then picked it up. So I picked it up like that, and now I'm going to just dry it. I'm using the Ranger heat tool to dry it. Earlier I was using my embossing gun because I had been embossing. And when you use an embossing gun, it will push your spray around a bit, whereas the heat tool just sort of dries it. So that's sort of the difference. I'm going to go back in and pick up a bit more of those little drops. So you can see now the next layer of texture I have on there. Okay, so I'm going to spritz this. Now because I'm doing layers of the same color, I don't want to completely cover that background. I'm just going to pick off any that was sort of dry. I could go in with a little bit of water even and just get a bit of texture that way, give it a moment to soak in, and then I might just pick it up. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is add a bit of stamping to it. And this is an older stamp set called Documented. However, I just got it. I really like the set, so I thought I'd order it. I got it through Stampers Anonymous. I'm not sure. I'd have to see if some of the other stores carry it. But you can buy all of the old sets from the beginning from Tim from Stampers Anonymous. They are always in stock. So I am using the Distress ink to do a bit of stamping. So even though it's tone on tone, you can still see some of those letters poking through there. So next up, I'm going to use, this is the Ringer stencil, and I'm going to use Distress Oxide Spray. You just want to give it a bit of a shake to make sure that that pigment has gone through. And I'm just going to spray it in a couple spots. And you can see some of those circles coming through, and I'm going to dry that. Now, Distress Oxide Spray will oxide if you add water, but because of how I'm layering colors and all that right now, I'm just going to dry it. Again, wipe off my thing. So now I want to emboss. I had an embossing paper, which I don't see, so I'll use this paper towel for now. So I'm going to stamp with the Distress Oxide Spray, and I have this butterfly. This is from another old set. It's called Fairy Tale Frenzy, and the splattered butterfly has always been one of my favorite stamps, so I thought I'd get it again. Had it at one point, probably ended up selling it, and then I'm like, you know, I really like the splattered butterfly. So I have it there. I'm going to ink it up, and you can see the Distress Oxide inks, how they're a lot thicker than the regular Distress inks because of the pigment in it. And you can also tell this is an old stamp because the image isn't on this side for us to see. So I'm going to emboss it. It's an embossing glaze, and so it's translucent. So when you layer it over other colors, it changes the color. Now, my circles in that weren't completely dry, so I'm going to have some embossing there as well, but it'll be fine. What I could do even is just take it off a bit, but it'll be fine. Now, typically I would use an embossing tool to emboss, but because it's only one butterfly, I'm going to just use the heat tool. So you should now be able to see that butterfly pop a little bit more, but it is very blended because we're using the same color for everything. So next I'm going to use this one. It is called a Floral Layering Stencil, and just to add a bit of flowers, a bit more texture. So again, I'm going to use my Distress Oxide ink for this. I'm using the oxides because because of that pigment that's in there, they will stand out more. They will sit on top versus go in. Now, if you want to know all the difference between all these things, I've done videos in the past about oxide inks and dye inks and all that. This is just to basically show you the new color. So again, because we're tone on tone, it's very subtle, but you should be able to see that nice design through there. So now I decided that the tone on tone is all nice, but I need a bit of pop. So that's when I am bringing in some other Distress inks. I've got Mustard Seed, Wild Honey, and Picked Raspberry. And by adding this, it'll add that little bit of pop to it. They work really well with the blue. I'm just randomly putting some color around, and you can already see just by that little bit of yellow how the whole thing brightens up. Orange and blue are complementary colors, and so they work nice together as a combination. Of course, blended together, they would make sort of a brown color, but the way I just used a little bit of that, the Wild Honey is sort of an orange-yellow. It just adds that little bit of color to it. And finally, I'm going to add some Picked Raspberry, which is one of my favorite colors. And you can see I'm just lightly putting just that little bit of color into the background. And we needed just one final little word. I'll use same as before. So this is tiny text, and it's filled with little sayings that are really great. You can use them for cards, for journaling, whatever you're working on. So I'm going to use Love with All Your Heart. And I'm going to use black archival ink. Stamp it down here. And then I can use a bit of the ink pad just to go around. And that sort of frames the tag. And there we have the completed tag using this new Speckled Egg. We have Distress Ink, Distress Oxide Ink, Distress Spray, Distress Oxide Spray, and the glaze, embossing glaze. So check out this new color and watch out for the future. He's going to be having 11 more new colors added to the Distress collection. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give our video a thumbs up and subscribe to Scrap Time videos on YouTube. In the meantime, here are a couple other videos you might be interested in watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.